It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. Today, we welcome a former veteran from the football ranks. A former offensive lineman, he spent 12 seasons in the NFL, playing for the Indianapolis Colts, New York Jets, and Kansas City Chiefs. He retired from the sport in 1998 before working with small business ventures in Kansas City. From there, he relocated to the Northeast and returned to the sidelines as the offensive and defensive line coach at Brunswick School in Greenwich, Connecticut. It's Jeff Criswell. He joins this live stream of Listen In with KNN right now. Here's your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. We bring you the biggest guests, great analysis, and the hottest sports stories in the nation's capital and beyond. And we bring it to you live. Welcome to this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN. Here's your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
All right. Hello, everyone. We do take two and welcome back to Listen In with KNN, presented by Fox Sports Radio. So glad you all are joining us after a brief hiatus. I am so glad to be back after doing so much great work with Bally Sports and the NBA playoffs and the NBA finals. By the way, congratulations to our new champions, the Golden State Warriors. That parade looked pretty lit. No, they're probably still partying in the Bay Area, but excited today to switch things over to football. So much to talk about in the football world, both good and bad. So I had to bring on someone to help me bring back everything together. Once again, so excited to be back. We have a whole lineup of great guests throughout the summer. You're not going to want to miss it. So I promise you, be sure to tune in each and every week to both our live stream shows and our video shows. But joining me today is none other than former NFL offensive tackle Jeff Criswell. You guys heard the intro. Phenomenal. Played 12 seasons in the NFL. Also used to do some radio work. So he's going to be a pro, and we are going to have a great conversation. Bring your comments, bring your thoughts. I already see the comments coming in. But once again, thanks so much for joining us. And without further ado, let me bring Jeff Criswell onto the show. Jeff, how are you today? Thanks so much for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm so glad to be here tonight.
It is my pleasure and honor. So first off, Jeff, you're a dad, right?
Yeah, I am a dad.
How was your Father's Day? Did you get anything good?
Yeah, my daughter lives in Kansas City, so she got me a nice card, and then my fiance's daughter took me out for dinner, so I did well.
That's wonderful. You feel pampered, right? And special, as dads should. Dads make the world go round. So a special belated happy Father's Day to you, Jeff, and appreciate you once again for joining me. All right, Jeff, so let's get into it. A lot has happened today in the football world, and not just today, but really over the course of the week. Maybe on the positive, let's start with the good news. Well, maybe not good for all football fans, but Rob Gronkowski retiring. I'll put that in quotes because some people, Jeff, think he's going to come back after 11 seasons and 4 Super Bowl championships. Let's start there. Do you think he's really done, or do you think Tom Brady might be able to woo him back into the game of football, Jeff?
You know, that's a good question. Sometimes it comes down to money, and I don't know what he was offered to try to stick around. So we really don't know that insight yet until he, tweets something or something on social media breaks and we hear the word. But just reflecting back, 11-year career, 4 titles, 4 rings,
Special.
tons of football. Yeah. Good chance that he'll be a Hall of Famer. He's right up there with the best, and he was a playmaker. You could always count on him. Do I think he's going to come back? But my gut says no. Somebody like him who's done it all, he wants to go out on top.
Yeah.
Gronk has been as good a player as he's been. He's also had some injuries, and I just kind of wonder what those have to weigh in on his situation right now. As you get older, at my age, at 58, you start to feel all those things. So, 11-year career playing all those games, particularly the playoffs. You tend to forget about that. It's really not a 17 game season. It's more than that. It's 20 games plus. So you have to take that in consideration. And a guy that's played as much as he has, and I just wish him the best. I'm not certain if he has a family, but I'm sure that they'll kind of have a sigh of relief too. I know mine did. When I finally retired after banging around for all those years. So good luck to him.
Yeah, the game, if he truly is done, the game will truly miss Gronk. We all love Gronk and what he brings to football. But as you said, if it really is done, Gronk, and maybe you can tell us, but if you really are done, wishing him the best. I don't know what else is next for Gronk. I feel like he can do so many things, especially with his talents, his personality. Like, I feel like he's one of those guys where the sky truly is the limit.
I see a reality show. That's what I think.
I can see that too. He would be a great host. Or do you see him as a participant?
Yeah, maybe both. Nowadays, with reality series, that you can go in a lot of different directions, and he's a fun guy. He's got a great sense of humor. So I don't see him in the broadcast booth. I don't see him going that direction.
Yeah,
I don't think that's probably something that he's going to do. But you never know. He might have a cameo and come in and do some of that.
Or put him on the Nickelodeon broadcast. I feel like he'd be good for that one.
Yeah, the sky's the limit for a guy like him. I'm sure he's going to be pulled in a lot of directions now that he's going to be out of football. And, we're all interested to see where he ends up and follow him now in this next chapter of his life.
Yeah, well, Gronk, again, best wishes to you. And staying with football news, on the sad side of football, Jeff, today, especially here in the DMV area, specifically Baltimore, lots of fans just feeling hurt before the football season even gets started. Just right before we started, a couple hours ago, it was announced that Tony Siragusa, the Super Bowl champion, the defensive lineman that so many loved here in Baltimore, has died at 55 years old. And so, of course, just want to give you that platform. I'm not even sure if you heard the news because, again, it just kind of broke a couple hours ago. Just very, very sad times.
Well, first of all, I did not hear that. I thought you were going to go back to the linebacker from Baltimore.
Yeah, and that's the next one. So might as well go into that. Yeah, so Baltimore Ravens outside linebacker Jalen Ferguson also dying at just 26 years old. We found that news out this morning, of course, that the team reported. So it's a double whammy to have a current player, former player, just one great, another one, I'd say, on his way to greatness. Ferguson, there was so much positive news coming out of Baltimore about him. And so to hear that news, you saw the players putting in the heartbroken emoji. And, a lot of people are just sad, Jeff, around the football world.
Yeah, well, as far as Tony goes, I played against he was in my era, so I played against him, and he was bigger than life personality. I never really followed him much outside of football, so I don't know where his life went, what he was involved in. I can only imagine it was good things. It's kind of an odd thing that every year there's on average about 140 to 150 former players who pass away from one reason or another. It's not really talked about. Not every single guy gets any publicity. More so now because of social media and other platforms that allow that news to get circulated. But Tony was a great guy. It's always hard to hear when a young man like the young kid from Baltimore passes, because he had his whole life ahead of him. We still don't know, to my knowledge, what happened to him.
Right.
So that'll probably not be disclosed, to any of us. They tend to keep that, under wraps for whatever reasons. So
Just very, very, very sad. And then, of course, before this football season, hearing the news about, Dwayne Haskins, I think the football family, is just obviously hurting. So again, just wanted to send condolences out to Ferguson's family, Saragusa's family. Obviously, very, very hard to lose a loved one. And again, we just celebrated Father's Day.
Yeah, it shows you how precious life is, how short it is, and then how human all of us athletes really are,
Yeah.
We all suffer from the same things that everybody else does, just at different levels,
Exactly. Just at different levels. I appreciate you touching on that. Again, hard topics, but again, you have to be thankful for each and every day that you are here on this earth, because we truly never know when it will be our last. So make the most of it. And this is why, Jeff, I'm glad to do this show and connect with new people like you and get to have these conversations, just talk.
Yeah,
on our conversations.
I would like to say, since I have this opportunity and because of some things that I've gone through in the last particularly 10 years, physically, mentally, I've never been to the doctor so much as I've been going in the last 10 years, mostly just preventative checkups and stuff like that. And it's probably saved my life in a lot of different ways. There's been times in my life when I had not taken as good care of myself as I should have. I was working a lot, things were going on in my life. So, for any athletes out there, tough guys, that think that the world's never going to end and you're always going to be on top. God has a way of showing us and making us humble, and that, you don't have to let things creep up on you. Nowadays, they can scan everything and you can check out everything. And at my age, they're going to find something, but it's now you have that opportunity to go head on with it. And, offensive linemen, football players, we're always looking for a fight, and when it turns on to be your own life that you're fighting for,
it's the best fight.
It's the best fight. And it's really important. So go get checked, go get a physical, go get a calcium score, see what your heart's doing. Those things don't cost very much. Even if you don't have insurance, you can go get that stuff done now through the NFL stuff. So that's what I would encourage people to do.
I love that message. So important. Look, I'm one of those folks, when anything's wrong, I'm right at my doctor's office. I want to know what's going on. I'd rather them tell me, all right, Kelsey, you're fine. Go back home, instead of me just assuming nothing's wrong and it's a bigger issue. Then they tell me if I had come in earlier, that I could have figured it out. So, hey, everyone, again, thanks for joining us. And we have a quick question for you. Jeff, from the audience, from Jamil Cutler, he wants to know, what do you think about all these athletes that we're hearing about dying so young? And you touched on the number of NFL players that die each year. Like you said, not everybody gets publicized, but social media, of course, has helped to share those stories. But it does seem we just had a former NBA player die. Like, I don't know what it is right now, but it seems like people are dying younger, which is pretty scary. When you think about it, as you said, have their whole lives ahead of them.
Yeah, I mean, but strangely enough, I looked this up because things pop up on my social media feeds, like, this person died, that person died. So I go on a website and they have it all out there. And the average of 140 to 150 is the average of people, former football players, dying every year. Now, of course, it's all ages, of course. The older ones seem to have, more of them die, but there are the cases where these young kids die as well. I think it's a shame, for the young guys, they didn't get to live their potential and see their dreams come true, and their families are just getting started in the business. And it's a tragedy. But like I said before, for a lot of us, it's just a lack of always thinking that you're going to come out on top, always thinking that you can, beat the invisible, and you can't. You need to go get checked up, and not to say that I mean, I didn't know what Tony's situation is, but I just remember thinking back to a guy like Reggie White, who had sleep apnea, and I can tell you from guys I played with that have gone and gotten tested through the NFL's testing process that they have, it's free to us. Most everybody has sleep apnea, and it's just one of those silent killers. Blood pressure, silent killer. I didn't even know I had high blood pressure. And one day I went to go have a procedure and said, we can't even take you. Your blood pressure's too high. We got to take care of that first. And that kind of started my whole getting myself back together again, and from inside out. And, lost a couple pounds and got back to working out and doing the things that I could control. Because
Right.
as we know, there's tons that you can't. So
Yeah, but right, what you can, you take control of. And it's so good to hear
absolutely.
that you took
Right.
control and you take back control of your life, folks. And talking
That's
about
right.
your life, let's start at the beginning, Jeff. Let's talk about football. What made you first pick up that football? And of course, we'll talk about the rest is history. But growing up, let me make sure I'm saying it right. Is it Grinnell?
Well, I was born in Grinnell. I actually
Yep.
grew up in a small farming town called Searsboro, Iowa, which I'm very
Yeah.
proud of. Probably about 200 people there. I don't know
Very
what the
small.
population is. Very small. And it was part of a consolidation of small towns like that made up our high school, which was Linville-Sully High School.
Yeah.
And, just growing up, I had an older brother. I still have an older brother. My father passed away when I was real young. But I had my older brother. My mother was always encouraging us, championing us getting to practices. And I mean, we were poor and didn't know it. She made sure we had shoes and cleats and gloves and things like that. And I'm sure she sacrificed a ton for us. But I grew up in sports. I mean, that it wasn't so much that I saw that as a way to, financial prosperity. I just like playing sports, and so did my brothers. And my brothers were probably better athletes than I were. They're not quite as big as I am.
You are pretty big, Jeff.
Yeah, no, I at one time I was probably average size. Now, I mean, shit, all those guys that play my position are 340 pounds.
Oh yeah, today.
And I never weighed more than 300. But I had other skill sets,
Right.
But anyway, I was a quarterback in high school. I wrestled. I was a 6'7", 185-pound wrestler in the state of Iowa. Wasn't worth a darn until my junior and senior year. Played football forever. Was an all-state quarterback. Played some defense. You played both ways on teams like that. Very small school, so you never came off the field if you were any good. And and I decided after being recruited by several teams like Iowa State, Iowa, UNI, I was recruited, but I wasn't being offered anything. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall there. My older brother decided that he was going to go to Graceland University, small NAIA school in Southern Iowa. And I said, well, shoot, I'll go down there and play with him,
Nice.
and try to make a go at it. I wasn't going to play quarterback. I went down as a tight end, got hurt right away. Wasn't going to see much playing time, and just kind of as luck would have it, lucky for me, unlucky for the other guys, several tackles went down, and they just said,
next
"Hey,
man up."
Next man up." So I said, if I get a chance to play and put my helmet on and get out there, I'm in. And I did, and then things just went well. At that NAI school, I was an All-American my senior year. Unfortunately, I wasn't drafted. I was a free agent that first year. As a matter of fact, I sat out a year and a half of football. I graduated. I went to Canada to try out. Got cut on the practice field in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Picked up my bags, my little U-Haul, my old 1978 Monte Carlo, and drove to California, where I stayed on a guy's couch that I didn't know. He was in the fitness industry. I worked out. I had a place to live. And good thing I was staying in shape, because the knock on the door for the strike in 1987 came around.
Right.
And then that's how I got my opportunity. I actually went to the Indianapolis Colts, and I played guard there. I was number 62. We won 2 games, and we lost our third one. But it gave me a chance to get on the field. I'd never been on AstroTurf before. I'd never played in front of anybody more than 150, 200 people,
Wow.
All of that was really new to me. Never really been on an airplane flying around like that. All of that kind of stuff was kind of new for me. So as luck would have it, I played well, and I think there were about 5 teams after that strike, including the Colts, that wanted to re-sign me for the next year. And so I thought I was clever. I had an agent. I was his only guy.
All attention on you.
Yeah, everything was on me. And we tried to, back then he didn't have internet and all these reports on every player, and the combine wasn't the way it was.
Yeah.
And, you just kind of were going on word of mouth and what the general managers were telling you, is that, and we heard that they weren't going to draft anybody at the Jets, and they were kind of going to shift some guys around on the offensive line, and they were going to need guys. Well, I got there, and there was they brought in 14 offensive linemen.
Okay.
They drafted a first round, a third round, a sixth round, and a ninth round. So that was all out the window. And I was sitting there. What saved me was because I'd played in the strike, the Jets had invited me to come out and play or come to their veteran mini camp. So I got to open the book and get acclimated to that and the guys. And I kind of caught some guys' eyes at that time. And so by the time, training camp came, I was kind of ahead of the rookies that had came in, even though I'd only played 3 games. And so, but I was rotating in with the first string, mostly at guard. They were really high on who's my good friend Dave Cadigan, who they drafted in the first round. Dave came in, and I made the team. So it was just
first step done. Made the team,
and I was so broke, and living in Long Island is expensive anyway, and it's even worse now, but even back then. So I didn't have enough money to actually get a place to live. So I talked to the manager of the hotel. I said, "Look, can I stay in the hotel for 30 days? I'll definitely pay you. I just don't get paid right away." And I was only going to make like $4,000 or $5,000 a week. I was minimum. Wow. I think the minimum back then was $60,000 or $70,000 a year. That was the minimum. Now it's $575,000.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. So I had to get enough money to finally find a place to live, and I did. I got a place to live finally, and then lo and behold, Dave got hurt at left tackle. And so they put me out there, and my first game I played, I remember, was against the Detroit Lions, and I'd never really had interviews like I'd been getting. And one of the beat writers had asked me a question about how did I think I was going to do against this veteran player with the Detroit Lions, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to kick his butt." I shouldn't have said that.
You were just confident.
I just it just came out, and so I remember going to the airport, getting ready to get on our charter. Dan Radakovich was our offensive line coach, and he was an old school offensive line coach, and he had a newspaper in his hand, and he sat down right beside me.
I know where this is going. He's going to point to that quote.
He sure did. And he just said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard anybody say, And believe me, he didn't favor me, but I was one of the guys because I caught on quickly. I was never the biggest or strongest, but I had a very high football IQ. And so a coach can tell me something 1 or 2 times and I got it. I may not always be able to do it, but at least I knew it. I didn't have mental errors where a lot of the rookies, they come in, especially offensive linemen, they're going the wrong way. They're off on the count. They're just,
so that's to learn.
Yeah. And if you're not dependable at offensive line at that position, you can't play it. And so anyway, so that was my first experience. And then my second start was on Monday night against Bruce Smith. Oh, wow. And I don't even say Buffalo. I just say Bruce Smith. Everybody knows who he played for.
Folks know.
And I swear to God, by the time halftime came, I gave up 2 sacks, a holding penalty, and offsides. And I was hoping they'd put somebody else in there, And I remember Joe Walton, who was the head coach at the time, he came to me at halftime and he said, "Look, man," he goes, "I could put somebody else in there. They're probably not going to do much better. We're down 34-0, and they got their ears pinned back. You can either sit on the bench, and then we'll worry about how that's all going to play out for you, or you can get back out there and show your team you're not a quitter and that they can depend on you," which is what I did. And from that game, everything got better. I started playing a lot better, and got a new contract, and so that's how I got started in the National Football League. There was a lot of luck involved, a lot of God's blessing. Thank God for a lot of things, and and I didn't get hurt. I stayed healthy.
A blessing.
At one point, I think I had the longest playing streak on the Jets team. So,
wow.
Yeah, so that worked out well.
Yeah, very well, Jeff. You played 12 seasons in the NFL and in the Final Four with the Kansas City Chiefs, right? 95 to 98. Let's talk about your time with the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, lots of Chiefs fans also watch this show. And, kind of when you decided to finally hang it up.
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, Bruce Smith, as tough as he was, and he was tough on me and everybody he played, but because I played him so much, I got better, and I would actually say that he was one guy that actually helped me get a big contract in free agency, because by the time my tenure with the Jets was over, I was playing him really well. And that's what the Chiefs, who were looking for a tackle to replace John Alt, said to me. They said, one of the reasons we like you is because you play Bruce Smith, and they beat us every year in the playoffs. And Bruce Smith always tears us up, so we need a guy.
We need somebody for him.
We need a guy. And so that's how I got to the Chiefs. And all my family lives out that way. A lot of my classmates from college live in Kansas City.
It was like home.
It was totally like home, and I made that my home. So, and the difference, I love the New York Jets, and I live out here. I'm about 50 miles from the stadium. I'm part of the NFL Legends program with the Jets, and we get to go to the games sometimes, and they have events and stuff. But we lost a lot. We lost a lot of games in that era, and it was tough, because we had good players, and we just didn't play well at times, and we didn't have a lot of the breaks. So you have to, you're psychologically, you're dealing with that all the time. Like, by the 8th game of the year, you're out of the playoffs already. Now you're playing for yourself. You're trying not to get injured. If you're in your contract year, you can't get hurt. You're going to be screwed. So, there's a lot of that. So that you're always thinking you're always thinking that the glass is half empty,
Right. And it's hard. And to be fair, though, Jets fans, they've been through some stuff now too, Jeff.
Well, and then they had some good times, and then they had some bad times again.
Yeah, roller coaster, right?
Yeah, but the Chiefs, they had been winning forever. When Marty Schottenheimer got there in 1989, he turned that program around. They were terrible up until then. Him and Carl Peterson, who was a general manager, and Denny Thum, all those guys, they turned that around. They brought in, obviously Derek Thomas at the time and Neil Smith. The year before I got there, they had brought in Marcus Allen and Joe Montana. So they had started building this team, and we won a lot of football games. So trying to understand the winning philosophy versus the losing effort was a really different. I mean, I would tell guys, my teammates, about how it was on the Jets when they'd ask, and they're like, "Man, we don't understand what you're talking about. That doesn't happen here." You did what? You played subliminal music in the weight room to help you win? What? Yeah, that's what we did. It was terrible.
And it works, obviously, right?
Well, I mean, not with the Jets, it didn't, because that's
not the Jets, the Chiefs.
No, we didn't have to do that with the Chiefs. We just played rock and roll.
It was just a better system, I love that. Rock and roll in the locker room. That sounds fun.
Yeah, we had rock and roll. We had everything. So it was great. It was great.
And, as we talk about the Jets and the Chiefs, now the Jets they got a lot of praise actually after this last draft class that they had. So I feel like a lot of people, think they're more on the up and up, which is pretty exciting. We know they're building around quarterback Zach Wilson, obviously hoping for a better year from him. And the Kansas City Chiefs, well, as you said, they're the Kansas City Chiefs, right? But Tyreek Hill, you could say the former wide receiver, has caused a little bit of controversy now with his recent comments, which I'm sure you've heard by now, Jeff. Talking about his, to be fair, I do think he's trying to amp up his new quarterback. That probably wasn't the best thing to say. But we all know Patrick Mahomes' greatness. I mean, it doesn't need to be explained. It's kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah, I mean, there's sometimes you just leave the words out and you don't say anything. I mean, and the media is always trying to dig that stuff up. If you give it to them, you've lost that battle, and that happens. In regards to your first statement about the Jets, you can't be a Jets fan and not be optimistic. I mean, that's all you have.
They are the most optimistic fans, I feel like. I still hear the Jets chants everywhere. They love that team. but you kind of got a feeling after about the second or third game, you're kind of like, you kind of know how the season.
You know which way it's going. And immediately you can't watch it sometimes, even though you really want to. And you can't, because it just makes you so mad, and you want the best for them. And
Yeah.
I hope that this is the year. I mean, they did do some acquisitions. They picked up
Yeah.
some draft picks that they always do. That they
Yeah.
always do.
It's just coming together now. And then I don't know if you saw the latest Pro Football Focus rankings, but they slotted the Jets in at number 25 for this football season.
Yeah, and I think when you get down to those picks, I think
Yeah.
you're just throwing teams in slots. I don't
Just
think
putting
it
them
really matters.
somewhere.
Actually, I would say that past the top 5 or 6,
Yeah.
you kind of got to feel for the established teams and players and coaches, administrations, and so forth, how they're going to do every year. I always think of the Dallas Cowboys. They always have a lot of those essential pieces to their
They
puzzle.
do. Yeah.
They kind of gotten themselves into the black and blue league now, which used to be, the Green Bay Packers and the Vikings. That used to be the black and blue league. That's kind of what the East is now with the Giants and so forth. It's a matter of who's not going to lose enough to get in.
That's always the question.
But I think the Philadelphia Eagles probably have the best team in that division, and even though the Cowboy fans are probably hating me right now for saying that,
they're going to send like, what do you mean? Do you know the Cowboys? We know how their fans are, Jeff.
But again, just basing it on talent. Well, the Cowboy fans are some of the best fans in the world. There's no question.
Oh, they are. They're fun. We love Cowboy fans for football.
Yeah, I don't care what stadium or what team that you played for, even your home games. If you play the Cowboys, you're going to have about 30,000 of those maniacs in the fans. I don't know how they get the tickets.
But they go there. They support that team.
They get there, man. And even at the Chiefs games, which is a sellout, I don't know who's selling them these tickets, but they're always there. And when I played with the Jets and the Cowboys would come, that's when they were winning the Super Bowls, and they would fill our stadium. I felt like we were in an away game at a home game, and the crowd noise.
They're like, wait, where are our fans?
It was terrible. It was terrible.
Oh my gosh.
To deal with that crowd noise at your own stadium. I mean, what?
What's happening? Oh my gosh. Well, look. Chiefs, Jets fans, and sorry, Washington fans, I agree. The Eagles look really good right now with what they've built. But Jeff Criswell, has been such a pleasure to have you on talking football with you. I appreciate your reflections. Before I let you go, just any last words for the listening audience?
No, not really. I mean, football has had a lot of ups and downs. The National Football League is an incredible platform, and for everybody, athletes, fans alike. And but we need everybody's support, and
we do.
Just keep in mind,
it takes all of us.
Yeah, keep in mind we're all human. At the end of the day, there's guys that get paid an ungodly amount of money, and we expect a lot out of people that get paid in any profession. That's why they're paying the big bucks. But at the end of the day, we all have families. We all have a higher calling than playing sports. And that's what we're really about. And I think that's important to get out there.
Well said, Jeff. Well said. It's so much more than football. Football is family. And again, it takes all of us. Jeff Criswell, such a pleasure to have you on and to officially and formally meet you. We'll definitely have to do this again. And I appreciate everyone tuning in. And once again, guys, this is a special week celebrating the 50th anniversary of Title IX. 50 years, folks, since that passing. Want to especially commemorate that. We know we still have more work to do, but 50 strong years. And then also here in DC, continuing to celebrate number 11, Ryan Zimmerman's number getting retired. So fun times in Washington. Thanks again so much, everyone, for tuning in. We'll be dropping all new shows next week as well, both audio and video. It's a great audience. Appreciate all the comments and the feedback. And once again, a special thanks to Jeff. Thanks so much, Jeff. And we hope you have a great rest of your week and enjoy the NBA draft tomorrow.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Bye, Jeff. Thanks so much again, everyone. Have a great one, and we will see you all next week. Have a great weekend. And again, NBA draft coverage, be sure to tune in. Got lots of great stuff happening on social media. And for the show, if you are interested in interning, we are opening up our brand new applications for summer interns. So all you have to do is go to listeninwithknn.com and apply there. You can also reach out to me on my website, KelseyNicoleNelson.com. And as always, thanks so much to everyone who's a part of the show. Behind the scenes, could not do without you, of course, Sports Director Glenwood Thomas, Dean Peretta, Mike Lyle, and my fabulous team of interns who just wrapped up. A special thanks. Already getting the show. Yes, Travis, I would love to be on Sports Talk Atlanta talking HBCUs. And of course, lots of great stuff coming out the HBCU world as well that we will continue to follow. Thanks so much again, everyone. Have a great one. Bye, guys.
Follow Kelsey on social media at The Real K Nelson. Catch episodes of Listen In with KNN on YouTube, on air at AM 1340 and 96.9 FM Fox Sports Radio, on Facebook and Twitter, and online at KelseyNicoleNelson.com. Thank you for watching this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN.
Listen In with KNN on Fox Sports Radio now offers official Kelsey Nicole Nelson apparel in a variety of styles for men and women. Fashionable shirts, leggings, hats, jackets, and more. Order now and get 15% off and free shipping. Just enter promo code KNN. Get your Listen In with KNN wearables today and check out Listen In with KNN on Fox Sports Radio with Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
You used to hear me on your airwaves or hear me on my hit podcast, but now I'm taking you to the screen. You'll love Elevator Thoughts. We will talk the latest trending in sports. It's game time. What better way to get to know those that visit the show than over some good food and drink? It's time for confessions.